Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Ross Johnston. The NFL trade deadline ends at 3 o'clock today, and there have been some big moves made, starting with the Titans trading edge rusher Draymond Jones to the Ravens for a conditional 2026 fifth-round pick that could become a fourth if the Ravens make the playoffs, and Jones records 2 more sacks on the season. The Indianapolis Colts traded wide receiver A.D. Mitchell, a 2026 first and a 2027 first-round pick, to the Jets for two-time All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner. The Seattle Seahawks traded their 2026 fourth and fifth-round picks to the New Orleans Saints for wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. The Cincinnati Bengals traded linebacker Logan Wilson to the Dallas Cowboys for a 6th and 7th pick swap in the 2026 draft. The Las Vegas Raiders traded wide receiver Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2026 4th and 6th round pick. And finally, the Cleveland Browns traded edge rusher Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to the Chicago Bears for a 2026 6th round pick. All of this reported by Adam Schefter. College basketball kicked off last night, and the Vols beat Mercer 76-61, and freshman phenom Nate Ament led the team with 18 points and 9 boards. JP Estrella also tallied 9 points off of the bench. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door, and broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. And Blaine's on vacation. Got the Dr. Kevin Dyson in today. A little Titans Talk Back reunion as well.
Yeah.
So there you go. We got Coach Mack at 2:20. And then, of course, we got anything that happens with the trade deadline. We'll keep you up to date. We got a lot of trades to kind of go through. My prediction is that at 2:59 p.m., Big Jeff is traded.
Man,
because they're going to wait
that.
for our show to be over before they do the trade.
I don't care if that's 159, 160. I don't care. You can't let Big Jeff go, man. But that's the fear.
Yeah.
That's the fear.
Because you kind of sit here and wonder, the biggest news of the day is that the Indianapolis Colts have traded 2 first-round picks and AD wide receiver that they drafted last year in the second round, A.D. Mitchell, for Sauce Gardner, former first-round pick of the New York Jets. And it makes you wonder, how long has this been negotiation going on?
Yeah.
Has this been like a firm no from the Jets, kind of like it's been a firm no for the Titans, and maybe 11th hour, like Peter Schrager kind of hinted at last week, is that in the NFL, after the games are played, that trade deadline is when the big names, those no's, sometimes turn to yes.
You know, what's interesting about that trade in particular is I would never thought that was the missing link for them to make a Super Bowl run.
Right.
I thought their receiving core was pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm kind of looking at with this Colts thing, and I talked to Rhett Bryan a little bit about this too, is that obviously, as you probably have seen on Twitter, like 13,000 people say, the Colts are all in.
Yeah.
You know, they're all in on this season. But it also says Daniel Jones extension on the horizon, right? Because if you're acquiring a guy that just got an extension and it's a $120 million 4-year extension that you are acquiring, you have to think, with the success that they've had, it's Daniel Jones is next man up. And they got a really young core where they can kind of ride this out and ride, some of these young pieces. They just extended Kenny Moore, so he's under contract. So, they got a lot of young pieces that they can keep. But the success that they are experiencing from the offensive perspective, it's really hard to sustain that level year to year to year because you face new opponents, new schemes. Players fall off. It's a big puzzling investment from the Colts side outside of they're trying to win right now. And if they don't win this yeyear, I don't know how it will work out.
I equate it to what the Eagles did with Saquon.
Right.
You add what you feel is like that missing piece, you're going to make another run. Although they were pretty good already, you add somebody like Saquon to that offense, that offensive line, that receiving core, and obviously we saw what happened with that last year. But it's still interesting to me with Sauce because young guy. I felt like their core was already pretty young. They had a vertical threat. What's the receiver name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's right there in the league for splash receptions. He's averaging right at about 18, 19 yards.
You
per
talk about
catch.
like Alec Pierce?
Yes. He's already one of the league leaders in catches over 20 yards in the National Football League. So we'll see, man. But that's going to be interesting. That put the AFC on notice for sure.
Well, listen. All right, this comes from Tom Pelissero. The Jets are trading 3-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. Sources tell the insiders New York gets a 2026 first-round pick and more for Williams, who gets a fresh start at the age of 27.
Look at the Jets cleaning house.
So the Jets are getting rid of 3-time Pro Bowler defensive lineman Quinnen Williams. They're getting a pick back and a 2026 first-round pick because the Cowboys had 2 and some for Quinnen Williams. And I'm thinking, well, I'm kind of curious of what the and some is because I don't know. This also, I mean, I know you don't want Jeffrey Simmons traded, but I'm just saying we got to leave the option open. And Jeffrey Simmons, Quinnen Williams extended around the same time. They're about the same age, about the same level player. I don't know. It's making it very enticing to say if you're the Tennessee Titans, who are really, truly blowing it all up right now, be kind of hard to pass up some extra picks.
Listen, what that trade just told me is people are really acquiring by Big Jeff.
Yeah.
And they went to the next guy.
They went to the next guy
because they're looking for interior help and had Jeff price. Maybe the price is too high. I don't know.
Right.
But that lets you know the kind of the rumors, there's probably some truth to them.
Yep. 49ers are a team that are also interested in adding defensive linemen. That would be a fit over there.
Come on, man. We got to get off this. Give me anxiety.
I know.
Man.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to get, I just, got to put all the options on the table. That if you get some good offers, it's hard to pass up right now if you're this team. And let me say this. A lot of fans have been saying, well, the Tennessee Titans can get the first overall pick. Well, if the Jets keep selling, you ain't getting that first overall pick. I mean, because the Jets have gotten rid now 2 Pro Bowl players, 2 fantastic players on their only unit that's probably really keeping them in games. And I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett Wilson is next, too. Like, if they get rid of Garrett Wilson over there, they ain't got nobody.
No.
And they're going to lose all the games.
But doesn't to me, and I don't know about y'all, but doesn't this kind of tell you that, like, they're holding on to Aaron Glenn and letting him rebuild this Jets team to make it sort of his own, getting all these first-round picks and whatnot for next season?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you because at this point, like, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year or even in the offseason after Aaron Glenn was hired that Sauce Gardner would not be one of the building pieces and foundational pieces for Aaron Glenn, I would have laughed at your face. I said, there's no way. And then he's gone. So someone described it as they're being very flexible and they're amassing a ton. They now have 3 first-round picks in just this year's draft coming up.
But again, we've talked about this on Titans Talkback. It's hard to replace experience, talented experience like that. So you're banking on that first rounder to replace that production of that.
And you get 3 shots at it, but you ain't going to spend it on 3 defensive tackles.
No, this is true. That's true. That is true.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. To your point, I mean, you have to hit on now a defensive tackle and the Pro Bowl corner that are just as good as those 2 guys.
Yeah.
Woo. I was going to say, like, Quinnen Williams
and a quarterback.
Quinnen Williams is getting a little older. He's been in the league for a little bit now. But Sauce, man.
Well, he was really young when he came in the league. So, I mean, he's young and experienced, but he just turned 27, I think. You got to remember he had braces and everything on?
Bless you, thank you.
Yeah.
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 And 27 is in that prime age of
because we're seeing it with Jeffrey Simmons right now. He's in that prime age.
And I think there had been rumors around Breece Hall getting traded as well, but I believe Aaron Glenn publicly said we're not trading Breece Hall, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I mean, Mike Vrabel also said that, A.J. Brown will forever be a Titan, and that lasted 3 months. So
why is that the example you have to go back to?
that's the example fresh off my head.
Kevin's going to see what I deal with on a daily basis now. This guy.
Well, I'm already giving him anxiety over Jeffrey Simmons being traded.
The Jeffrey Simmons trade, they already messing me up a little bit.
So let's just think about it right here. The Jets have 3 draft picks. They're going to have the number 1 overall pick at this point. I'd be very surprised because they have the easier strength of schedule than the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
So more than likely by the end of the season, they're going to be ahead of the Titans even in a tie. So they're going to have the first number 1 overall pick, probably going to be on a quarterback. Then they got 2 first-round picks. And then they, after that, this year, and then they have 2 first-round picks next year. So they are this is what doing a true rebuild to me looks like.
Yeah.
Even though they are getting rid of young players, but it's like they're all in.
Yeah.
They're going to be like terrible for the most part probably next year as well, but they'll have a bunch of young players with first-round pedigree stepping in. 5 players. You're adding 5 first-round players. Technically, over the next 2 years, that's pretty good.
First rounder?
He was. So was Quinnen Williams.
That draft was insane, by the way.
Yeah.
No.
And Jermaine Johnson is another guy. Like, there's like 3 other guys they could still trade. Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall.
Yeah. And Gardner, he's also been to the Pro Bowl, I believe, as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was all-pro his first 2 seasons, I think.
So good luck finding that, but maybe it's more about the sum of the parts than just one guy.
I guess. But we've talked about this before. It's hard to replace good players with what ifs. You know what I'm saying? But I can also see starting fresh, that reset. But usually you start that reset with a core. You usually don't start a refreshment with, you don't even have a quarterback, as far as I'm concerned, like as a core person to build around. So you're really just, and again, we're talking about the Jets in Nashville, Tennessee, but I mean, that's just a complete reset, man. Start over.
So Quinnen Williams is about a couple of weeks away. December 21st, he'll turn 28.
Okay, still prime.
Jeffrey Simmons just turned 28 about 99 days ago.
Yeah, still prime.
So both of them still in their prime. Yeah. So it's just, to me, it's just like, I wouldn't rule it out. And that's all I'm really truly saying, because I'm not hearing anything or anything like that. I'm just saying that whenever I keep hearing, the GM, or we're hearing reports that, Jeffrey Simmons is off the table.
Yeah.
Well, at that moment,
maybe
the offers aren't good.
Yeah.
Maybe today, offers are better. But now that you've maybe waited, maybe the one team that was willing to part with a first-round pick has already made their move, and you're left out, not a consolation prize, but you're left out of the fun, I guess you could say.
That's what I want to ask Coach Mack. Has he been a part of it? And I'm sure he has in his tenure, his career, a part of a complete reset at the middle junction of a season.
Yeah, that's the craziest part, is like, this is all happening right. Technically, is this not considered tanking?
That's what I was getting at. Like, have you ever been, and from a player's perspective, the one thing you can control is yourself. Because we understand it's a business. We understand things have to happen. But if you're seeing this as a Jet and you're left on that roster, there's a couple people. There's that guy that's like, now here's my opportunity to play. And there's that other guy that's like, dang, what are we really doing here? You see what I'm saying? And then you goes to, internally, the only thing I can control is me. I can't control what the management does. I can't control what the coaching staff does. I just got to perform and play the best that I can to hopefully either maintain my job, get a new job, or get a new contract. But that psyche of like, man, they just basically, you said it, like, it's over.
That's the message you're sending to everybody in the locker room, which is kind of wild. Again, like week 9, they just went into the bye week with their first win, and they're all feeling good. Got their first win, go into the bye week, and
2 Pro Bowlers gone.
And 2 Pro Bowlers gone.
Like, Kevin, if you're Garrett Wilson, do you just ask out, or do you get yourself out at the end of the season?
I'm telling you, because what's he on? He's on a 4-year deal, 5-year deal.
I think 4.
4. I don't.
So he's coming up. How you convince him to sign an extension? He's got to probably going to have a rookie quarterback. He's got to help mold. I don't.
Well, I mean, he's already had to go through like 15 quarterbacks, it feels like, in
Right.
just his short career anyway.
So how do you convince a young star like that to stay?
I don't know. We got a lot more to break down. Coming up next, we'll do that. We'll also hit your phone call, 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Got Kevin Dyson filling in, and so we got full trade terms for the Jets' Quinnen Williams trade to the Cowboys. The Cowboys received defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. The Jets received 2026 second-round pick from the Cowboys, 2027 first-round pick from the Cowboys, and defensive tackle Motzie Smith, who's under contract till 2027. So they got him for the next 2 years, including not including this one, under contract. And the Jets' upcoming draft capital from Phil Yates. They got 2 firsts this year, 2 seconds this year, and 3 firsts next year.
That's a lot of draft capital.
That's a lot of draft capital.
Yeah. So we're looking at this. We might be looking at this one-sided. You're getting rid of some veteran players, but you can couple up some of these picks and get you something that could be impactful for your franchise.
Right, and obviously, just to kind of break it down, the Jets have been bad. Mm-hmm. They haven't had a winning season since the 2015 football season where they went 10-6. They haven't been to the playoffs since the 2010 football season. So it's been a long, long time since we've seen the New York Jets find success, specifically since 2015.
Yeah.
It's bad to be a Titans fan. It may be worse to be a Jets fan, but they are committed to the tank.
To the reset.
They are committed to the reset.
Yeah.
No ins or outs or fence sitting. They are committed. And the Tennessee Titans, listen, with Jeffrey Simmons, there's a lot more than just a play on the field. Big community leader. Like, he pays so much back to this community here in Nashville. He's one of the few leaders you have. I could understand that the asking price is probably higher than what Quinnen Williams probably is.
I would assume so.
Because I do think he's also a little bit better player. But at least you see someone committed to the tank, because it always seems like every time the Titans should tank, they haven't been committed.
Yeah.
Or they've tried to go way in the opposite direction. Like, signing Calvin Ridley and trading for L'Jarius Sneed. Probably should have done a roster reset. And it seems like this Tennessee Titans team is headed towards a roster reset with or without Jeffrey Simmons. Hopefully with.
What do I say on Sundays, man? I always say it could always be worse. We've been pretty fortunate here in Nashville. It just seems the last few years have been really, really lean. I just never seen anything like this. I think what I mean by that is the amount of teams that seem to be doing this, to say let's just reset this whole thing and start fresh. And I know we live in this era of instant gratification, and you trying to win now and win immediately. But at the midway point of the season, to see the moves that are taking place at a number of franchises is pretty amazing. It's on both ends. Yeah, it's both ends. It's like both of them. Excuse me. There's both of them on both ends. You see somebody like the Colts are like, we're going all in, all chips in. We're see what you do with us now. And then you got somebody on the flip side of that, the Jets who are like, you know what, I'm folding. Let's start this thing over in 2026 and see what we can do. And it remains to see. We got about an hour and a half left to see what the Titans do.
And listen, it's being kind of hinted at that the Jets have another big trade coming. So Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, one of those guys could be on the move. And what this kind of all means that the market's kind of drying up on the Titans then. Like, if Breece Hall goes somewhere, that's one team that doesn't want Tony Pollard anymore. If Jermaine Johnson goes somewhere, well, there goes Arden Key leaving for somewhere. Like, Quinnen Williams takes one suitor away from Jeffrey Simmons. Like, all the guys, your tradable assets, seem to be drying up. If Garrett Wilson gets traded, that's one less team for Calvin Ridley to be traded to. Yeah. Now, whether you want those guys to be traded or not, it's a totally different story. Yeah. But your options start to dwindle. Yeah. And I see a lot of people in the F&M Bank chat, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, say that they tanked last year. There's a difference between being a bad team and losing games and doing what the Jets are obviously doing, and they are tanking. Yeah. And you can call it reset. You can pretty it up, put a lipstick on the pig, and call it, resetting if you want. But that's what I'm calling tanking.
Yeah, I'm calling it reset. But it gives that impression of, this season's over. And they're going to say all the right things. They're going to say, no, we just, we got some young players we want to develop and see.
And we just got 2 young players. We got Motzie Smith and we got A.D. Mitchell. So we got some young players to develop. That's what they're going to do.
They're going to say all the right things, trying to sell the dream. But the reality of it is, from the outside looking in, I can imagine from a player's perspective, it looks like we throwing in the towel.
Yeah. I mean, definitely from a player perspective, from a fan perspective, maybe their fans are kind of like some of the Tennessee Titans fans at this point. They're just like, blow it all up because it ain't working anyway, right? Like you weren't winning games with Quinnen Williams and all them anyway, but let's blow it all up and do it anyway. And right now, if you were to look at the draft order, it goes New Orleans is number 1. Tennessee is number 2 because they both have 8 losses on their records and haven't hit their bye yet. Then it's the Jets at 1 and 7. So if the Jets, who play while the Titans are on bye this week, lose their game, they're going up to number 2. They're maybe even going up to number 1 because they have the weakest strength of schedule from those 3 teams. So it's whoever has the weakest strength of schedule. So this idea, I mean, sure, maybe Miami needs to trade up for a quarterback or Cleveland needs to trade up for a quarterback. We don't know what Vegas is going to do with Geno Smith. Like, there are some teams that may need quarterback, but the 2 obvious ones, the Jets and the Saints, are likely going to end up ahead of you. And if the Saints are number 3, who's going to start the bidding war if you're number 2? So this is not a good situation to be in if you're a Titans fan long term with this outlook, because the Jets obviously are not going to win any more games. I would be so shocked if they won another game at this point. So you kind of need some more teams to come up with quarterback issues, and you need more quarterbacks you really need less quarterbacks to enter the draft if you are number 2 overall, to make that number 2 pick look better, because everybody knows you don't need a quarterback.
That'd be interesting to see how some of the free agent movement that may be coming from a quarterback's perspective too, and how that moves. Because we saw a big movement last year in New York in particular with the Giants and Jets. We saw a lot of movement with some free agent quarterbacks. But I still go back to Zach, man. If from a fan's perspective, you might be okay with them. We're going to call it a reset, but you still have an identity with a player. People buy jerseys for a reason. You know what I mean? You still go to the Titans game, you'll still see a King Henry jersey.
Yep.
I even see an Eddie or McNair or Keith Bullies, and we haven't played in a long time. You still, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people get enamored with players for a reason, and because they're good football players. And then you start dumping those guys off, and it's just like, what now? Now, I bet you're going to see the paper bags in the stands and the boo birds.
Well, I hear they're taking paper bags away from the stands, like fans. If they see that you have a paper bag. And then we were told specifically by a fan that had to do this at the pregame show that the We Ass shirts, and they have Amy Adams drunk as a clown on some shirts.
Oh, no.
Those are having to be forced to be turned inside out, which I don't really understand, because first off, where on the outside of the stadium are you going to turn that inside out?
Right.
And then secondly, can't you just turn it right
when you get
when you get back in? So
and is that infringement on people's amendments,
technically rights? There is a code of conduct that at least the We Ass shirts, because they say a cuss word.
Okay.
Which today's kids probably say that at the age of 7. But like, they probably have been exposed to much worse. But that violates the code of conduct. The clown shirt doesn't.
I think that's just a personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, though.
Yeah. But again, like, at this point, the Tennessee Titans losing games is fine, right? Like, I mean, if you are interested in draft talk now.
Yeah.
If you're interested in the location of the draft, losing games, fine. You need the Saints and the Jets start winning games, or you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be number 3 in the draft, and you don't need a quarterback, and I don't know where the bidding war starts with everybody else.
So you saying you want to be that number 1 pick and create a bidding war so you can get some more draft capital?
Yeah, because if you want somehow you need the Saints and the Jets to fall behind you and fall in love with the same quarterback. Because then there's someone, and maybe outside chances for Miami. Maybe they're done with Tua after this year. They just fired their GM. Maybe Vegas needs one. I don't know if they'll spend one. Maybe Arizona, right? We see Jacoby Brissett looks much better in the offense, and that team looks much better than they do with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
So maybe there are some hidden teams down on this list, but you also kind of need to be the number 1 guy because you don't need a quarterback.
Well, you think you think the Saints, who have drafted Rattler, and I forget the kid's name from this year they just drafted.
I think so.
You think so?
I think they need a quarterback because I don't think Shuck's the guy. I don't. Yeah. Them doing that, drafting Shuck last year, I thought was kind of like, for me, I liken it to Will Levis. First off, a second-round pick very rarely in the quarterback position turns into something. It's very rare. But also, I didn't like Shuck's tape. I didn't like Will Levis's tape, so I would just pass and use that as another building block for maybe a quarterback later. So maybe they wasted their second-round pick. Maybe Shuck turns it up, because that may not be a good thing for the Titans either. If Shuck turns it up and it proves me wrong and he's a viable NFL quarterback, well, that means they don't need a quarterback. Yeah. So that takes one other team off the board.
You know, I think when you talk about them first 3, maybe 4 picks, and again, I am knowledgeable about the upcoming draft and draftable players, and in particular the quarterbacks. There's I can name you a handful of quarterbacks I would think is going to be in that conversation, but you never know till the combine and all that stuff takes place. But with considering the Titans have their quote unquote quarterback of the future, if you're sitting at 3 and you say you're, I don't know, Miami, and they're sitting at 4 or 5, is it worth it them to make a move, leapfrog you to get to whatever quarterback is supposedly be the class of the class?
Yeah, because, right now it's like Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, maybe Dante Moore. It's not a very strong top heavy. It's not the Trevor Lawrence draft class,
that's
right?
That's what I'm getting
Where
at.
There's Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields. There were 5 first-round quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's not even probable. It may be close to
this past
the 2023 draft where it was Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis was in the conversation.
Yeah.
It may be that.
And we came into the year thinking it was going to be stacked because of Nussmeier, Klubnik, Drew Aller.
Yeah.
Those 3 just haven't panned
Aller
out.
probably will not. He'll probably stay. Klubnik probably needs to stay.
Nussmeier
definitely needs to stay.
Aller could have gone last year.
He could have gone last year, probably would have gone higher.
Yeah.
But now he's been injured, and he did not look good before the injury. He probably needs to go back.
The kid from Ohio State, his stock is going up.
Yeah, but he's a freshman. So, which is also insane to think about, that they get another year of him and Jeremiah Smith together. Which is insane. So it's like the quarterback class dried up pretty quick in terms of top end talent because of certain situations and all that kind of stuff. So, it's not looking good for the trade back crew. And I'm a big trade back guy. Pretty much almost every year I'll trade back.
Yeah.
And it's not looking good with how this is all setting up right now, specifically because of the teams that are going to move ahead of you.
Yeah.
If they don't win games. And I would be very surprised if either of them win games.
Is there a top 3, 4 edge rusher?
Yeah. There's a few of those. Sticking to Pickens not going to be the bad.
Yeah.
You got wide receivers, you got edge rushers, and you still have Caleb Downs lingering around out there that is probably the best overall player in the draft class. It's not a position of need, and he's not like Travis Hunter, quote-unquote, generational athlete or anything, but he's probably the best player in the class. But you got all kinds of guys right there, but I don't know, do you have other guys that are worth trading up compared to what you need, which you need an edge rusher and a wide receiver?
Yeah.
It's also, sorry, Kevin.
No, I was going to say, how many teams, and this would be an interesting data point, how many teams move up in the draft, particularly in the first round, top 5 picks for anything beyond a quarterback? You see people move up. We've seen it recently. Somebody moved up and grabbed like a tight end or something like that, or maybe a linebacker. But after the top 5, do people really move up for any other position but a quarterback?
I'm trying to think I don't know when the last trade up in the first round, like the top half of the first round. Right. I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 that I'm not thinking of. But there has to be someone that traded up in the top 10 for something other than the Jaguars just did. They traded up for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
Right?
It wasn't like a big leap of a trade, though.
No, but they still traded up.
Yeah.
They gave a haul, though, for Travis Hunter, didn't they? They gave away a lot of picks.
So. Okay. Well, there goes my theory on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody says Travis Hunter, so there you
Yeah,
go.
I appreciate everybody in the chat.
We got there before the chat, with the chat.
I was just gonna
Will
say
Anderson,
too,
I guess they traded up for Will Anderson.
I was just gonna say too, it is a little.
Which, look at him now.
Yeah.
It is a little hard to project that situation because of free agency. Like, you don't know what moves teams will make. Like, Jets could go get a quarterback in free agency. That's their guy. Then they may not need one. You just never know. So
They could trade some of those picks for Jared Goff.
we could get rid of a couple safeties, and then all of a sudden you think we're taking Caleb Downs instead of an edge rusher in the top 5. Like, you never know.
Well, you look at somebody like Sam Darnold, right, who has bounced around and is finally established himself as a bona fide starter in this league, and obviously is making a lot more money. Is there a quarterback similar to him, or even with Baker has done in his career? Is there a quarterback like that the Jets? Because that's what they've been trying to do with like somebody like
they tried that with Fields. Yeah. They were hoping that they could be the team that capitalizes on like that young quarterback. Maybe it's Will Levis. Maybe we could convince Jets fans to trade a second round pick for Will Levis.
Well, there's going to be some interest on him.
There will be.
There will be.
But I couldn't think of a guy like that would be that age, that kind of like prime age right there that you would either trade for. I mean, maybe Tua. But you're not going to want to trade for Tua with those concussions and injury history and all that kind of stuff. So.
He's kind of getting that moniker of system guy too,
Yeah.
So and then the injuries to boot.
Right.
Yeah. Other than Justin Fields, I know Russ is probably pretty much done. He'll probably be up next year.
It depends on how quick they want this rebuild to find success.
Yeah.
Right. Like. The reason I bring up Jared Goff is obviously because Aaron Glenn was over there for Jared Goff,
true.
and the line, and he saw firsthand what trading for Jared Goff did for that franchise. Yeah. If they're trying to speed it up and maybe forego getting a young quarterback, which I would not advise for them, but I could see a team being like Aaron Glenn sitting there and saying, "Hey, it worked over here with us that we were able to do it." Jared Goff still playing at a high level. Let's try to do a trade with them. I mean, I could see that path, but I would advise for them in particular with the state of their roster is to just burn it all down, start fresh, bring in your guys.
What about Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, that would be another one. I do wonder, though, with the way that LA's playing, like if they make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, he's probably retiring.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I don't know if he would go with to the Jets. Dak Prescott would be a good one for you to consider.
Oof.
So,
and you already got the trade lines open.
Looks like Dak's contract is up after this year. So is Tua's, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, potentially.
Wow.
Although I don't know who the Jags would go get.
And these are all perennial starters.
Yeah.
And then guys like Josh Allen, Burrow, Jordan Love, who are for sure going to get,
extensions.
There you go.
There's some good ones out there.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray's kind of interesting, but I don't think he'd fit with Aaron Glenn.
Not with Aaron Glenn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too much Call of Duty.
Yeah. But I do think Dak Prescott, trade lines are open between the Jets and Cowboys right now. Maybe next year.
Maybe that's part of the conversation.
If this thing goes south, maybe there's a little bit right there. There you go. All right, coming up next, we'll continue to talk about this. We'll talk about Draymond Jones. We haven't even talked about that trade. We'll talk about that, some other potential trades, and all things Tennessee Titans. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. Got Dr. Kevin Dyson filling in for Blaine. And Ross, you said you had a question for us.
I do. So yesterday, Ian Rappaport reported that the Chargers free agent corner Asante Samuel Jr. is fully healthy. Now he had a spinal fusion procedure in the offseason and, fully cleared to return, and he becomes a top free agent at that position. He's only 26, and he's had a pretty decent start to his career with the Chargers, I believe. Obviously, everyone knows his dad, who played for the Patriots and Eagles, was really good. Would that be someone that y'all are interested in for the Titans to acquire in a room that needs a lot of help in it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the injury is scary.
That's what worries me.
But if you look at where he's predominantly lined up, he has been an outside corner. Now, he is a smaller outside corner. He is 5'10". That doesn't technically meet the threshold that this Titans front office has definitely said that they are looking for. But maybe he has the wingspan, or maybe he has the physicality that they're looking for. But I don't know if they're going to be. It doesn't hurt if he'll come in and sign for vet men for the rest of the year to kind of get him inside the building to figure out if he fits what you are looking for long term. But it may be better to wait for whoever your defensive coordinator is going to be next to decide, this guy does fit.
Yeah. I think if you just go by talent, absolutely. If we're just talking talent, I think he's as talented, if not more, than what's left right now. His experience alone. To me, the scary part is the injury.
Yeah.
Anything with the spine and back, it again, the medicine and things of that nature now, is the advancements. I'm sure everything is fine, but that's always got to linger in the back of your mind. But talent-wise, yes, I think you take a flyer to your point, cheaply. Yeah. I don't think you give him max money or number one cover corner money.
Like if I were the Colts, I would probably, I guess it's too close to the trade deadline, but this would have been probably a cheaper option to upgrade your cornerback room than it probably would have been to go for Sauce Gardner. Now, obviously, two different levels of player right now in their careers, but I'm thinking first-round picks that you gave up, maybe this would have been the better avenue. But I do think that, he has proven to be better than the players that you have on the team. I'm just like, Titans don't do well with the prior injured players. They always seem to never get healthy here in Nashville. I don't know if it's the hot chicken, if it's the country music. I don't know what it is. It could be a combination of the two. I don't know what it is, but once you're here and you already have an injury history, that injury history ain't going away.
Right.
And I fear for the man's life if he came to the Tennessee Titans with his injury history.
Don't need to get too dramatic.
Well, I'm just saying, apparently, breaking news from Jordan Schultz, not worth the music, but Jordan Schultz is being told that Breece Hall wants to be traded a little over 1 hour to the deadline, but Breece Hall wants to be out. So we'll see. I've heard that the Jets have been asking for a third-round pick, though, and a third-round pick for a running back, probably a little high, but there may be a team that's desperate for Breece Hall.
It's funny because he tweeted 30 minutes ago, I think, a sad face emoji, and everyone in the replies was like, the Jets just told him he's staying in New York. He's upset.
Draymond Jones was traded last night. It is a fifth-round pick that could be a fourth-round pick of Draymond Jones, who has 4.5 sacks currently. 2 more sacks, and the Ravens make the playoffs. So it has to be twofold. He has to get 2 sacks in the regular season, and the Ravens have to make the playoffs. Now, the Ravens' football schedule is actually pretty good. They're currently 3-5, as long as Lamar Jackson stays healthy.
That's it.
And obviously, you look at Draymond Jones, he is now the leading pressure. He's the pressure leader for the Ravens defense, bringing his stats over. Mm-hmm. They have been pretty terrible at generating pressure, and Draymond Jones over the last 2 weeks he's been pretty good for the Titans.
What, 4.5 sacks, right?
4.5 sacks. So he only needs 2 more sacks. And then I'm about to pull up, as soon as our internet loads, the Ravens schedule here. But they have They are 1-0 in their division, and they have coming up. They
still have the Steelers twice.
Right. So they have the Vikings, and they go to Minnesota. So their next game coming up this Sunday is against the Vikings in Minnesota, which is a winnable game. Then you go at Cleveland. Then you go to the New York Jets. The New York Jets come to you. Then the Bengals come to you. The Steelers come to you. Then you go to the Bengals after that Steelers game. Then you have the Patriots coming to town. And then you go at Green Bay and then at Pittsburgh. So it's a winnable schedule to get you into the playoffs.
The last three are tough, though. The last three are tough.
Yeah, the last three are tough.
But that team changes so much more with Lamar Jackson in the game.
Yeah.
If there's an MVP in the National Football League and you see...
Every year it feels like it's Lamar Jackson.
I mean, you see... I'm not taking away from anybody else. Hutley, all of them, they have done what they could, but Lamar Jackson is just different. And you saw that Thursday night when he's in the game. Derrick Henry's better. They're all better.
Yeah.
He makes people around him
The
better.
offensive line is better. I mean, it's legit. He is a quarterback that makes everybody better on the field because of how he uses legs, his dual threat ability, and his precision passing.
Man. And that makes your defense better, too.
Yeah.
Because he's putting the other team behind and all that kind of. You worried about his explosiveness and you got to score points. So he's just different. So as long as he stays healthy, that could turn into something for the Titans.
Yeah, and it should end up with this being, if Draymond Jones gets 2 more sacks, which barring injury, he should.
Yeah.
He's got several games to do it. And they win, because that's what they've been missing, is Lamar Jackson and sacks. Then this 5th-round pick should turn into a 4th-round pick, which is a good trade. And even if it doesn't turn into a 4th-round pick, this was still a good trade. This was a guy on a 1-year contract who likely was going to be on this team next year, and you didn't have to give Draymond Jones and a pick.
Yeah.
You get the pick solo.
Yeah.
You don't have to give up anything. And they've been really, a lot of their trades have been with the pick swap. Yeah. Now you don't. You just get an extra 5th, which you could maybe trade up for an extra 4th or an extra 3rd. But right now, this looks like, if I was a betting man, Ravens should make the playoffs. Draymond Jones should have 2 sacks, and then boom, you're there.
As a team that's on the, I'm gonna use the word reset. That stuff like that, scenarios that we don't necessarily know as casual fans, could be beneficial. But that's what Berganzi and them are working through as they iron out this whole reset of going on. But again, as we get closer to this 3:00 hour, and we talked about earlier, and Big Jeff's name been thrown around out there, that's the reset that I just can't get behind. But again, it's not my decision.
Yeah.
And then again, that's me being a homer and all those things, and thinking, again, we talked about how he is a community, not let alone his ability on the field, but when you talk about value, he has the most value, and you can gain the most value from him.
Yep.
And as you're trying to quote unquote reset, and again, drawing that comparison to what happened in New York today.
Well, when you talk about potential head coaches, the 2 names that they're going to be high on their list that they are excited about being able to get here to Nashville to coach right now are Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, those are your selling points to the new coach. Now, you can also sell, hey, you got a blank slate. You whatever defensive coordinator that you bring in, they're going to be able to just do whatever they want on defense. And we got the picks to do it. We got the money to do it. Same thing with offense. You got a totally blank slate for the most part in a few key spots. But, hey, you have a wide receiver you love, boom, we're going to get that wide receiver for you. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of opportunity here at the Tennessee Titans. It's just that how much is this crew, Brinker and Berganzi, actually going to allow the staff to do that? Yeah. And I think I look at it this way: the guys that they hire, they're going to trust to do that. Right now, this is a lame duck coach situation where it's like, okay, well, I know Denard Wilson wants this guy, or I know Mike McCoy wants this guy, but they're not going to be in our long-term plans next year. But these draft picks are.
Yeah. And we're thinking about draft picks, right?
Yeah.
As they do all this draft capital. we're also forgetting the fact that they do have a lot of cap space for some free agents as well. And we listed off some quarterbacks, not that quarterbacks going to be the one, but we just listed off the quarterbacks that potentially, let alone some offensive linemen, which you said it Sunday. Usually good offensive linemen don't last long on the free agent block. They usually re-sign with their team until they get aged, and then now they let you go. But there are some potential movement there when you talk about whomever the coach may be for 26, that there's some free agents out there we're not even necessarily thinking about that can't come in here and have an impact that we're thinking about the draft because that's what's being maneuvered around for the players. But that free agency is going to be crucial as well. I think how they manage that to build around those, whatever veterans those are, aside from Jeff and now Cam, is going to be as important, if not more important, than how they draft. Although they have drafted, this past draft has turned out pretty well.
It has. All right, coming up next, there's some interesting comments by a New England reporter that covers the team about Amy Adams-Strunk and the Tennessee Titans' potential to trade with the New England Patriots. We'll talk about that and go to your phone call, 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
Want to know about a place where European Auto Repair doesn't feel like European Auto Repair? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop tell you, the moment you walk into Eurofix, you'll notice Eurofix is not your typical greasy garage. Waiting rooms are really clean, comfortable, and inviting with snacks all over the place. And service areas are spotless. Why? Because Eurofix cares about everything from how you are treated to how your vehicle is treated. Every repair comes with a rock-solid 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs and that Eurofix performs, and at below dealer pricing. And you don't have to put up with the dealer pricing or get ghosted when you're waiting for a call back or even in the waiting room. Eurofix fixes everything European, plus rental cars are available with every appointment. Locations all over the state of Tennessee, Nashville, Franklin, Bellmead, Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, and more to come. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can check them out online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
One of the largest sports books east of the Mississippi, Circa Sports Kentucky, is now open. Catch all your favorite games on an 80-foot screen with stadium-style seating and live VSiN broadcast daily. Circa Sports, now open at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
My dad and I used to golf together all the time, but when he hurt his back, it was over.
To have your son want to spend time with you is amazing. That's why my chronic back pain has been so heartbreaking. Surgery, fused bones, long recovery. No way, not for me. A friend recommended stem cells, so I gave Kellum Stem Cell Institute a call.
I'm glad you're out on the course.
Yeah, it's really good.
Call the Kellum Stem Cell Institute today. Swing still looks just okay, though.
Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Ross Johnston. The trade deadline ends in 1 hour, and there have been some big moves made, starting with the Titans trading edge rusher Draymond Jones to the Ravens for a conditional 2026 fifth-round pick. That could become a fourth if the Ravens make the playoffs, and Jones records 2 more sacks on the year. The Indianapolis Colts traded wide receiver A.D. Mitchell, a 2026 first and a 2027 first-round pick, to the Jets for 2-time All-Pro corner Sauce Gardner. The Seattle Seahawks traded their 2026 fourth and fifth-round picks to the New Orleans Saints for wide receiver Rashid Shaheed. The Cincinnati Bengals traded linebacker Logan Wilson to the Dallas Cowboys for a 6th and 7th pick swap in this year's draft. The Raiders traded wide receiver Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2026 4th and 6th round pick. And the Cleveland Browns traded edge rusher Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to the Chicago Bears for a 2026 6th round pick. All this reported by Adam Schefter. And most recently, the New York Jets traded Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, a 2nd-round pick this year, and a 2027 first-round pick. Lastly, college basketball kicked off last night, and the Vols beat Mercer 76-61. Freshman phenom Nate Ament led the team with 18 points and 9 boards, and J.P. Estrella tallied 9 points off the bench. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found. Kentucky Downs in Tennessee. Or no, not in Tennessee. Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. Man, I've been doing so good on that without the script in front of me. And I screwed it all up. All right, let's go to the phones. We haven't gone to the phones yet. Let's go to David. David, you're on with Dr. Dyson and Zach.
Hey, guys. How are y'all today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm not real smart about some of this stuff, but as far as a head coach, wouldn't Bones be a great idea to put in that position, the best coach we've had all year?
Before I hang up on you, do you have anything else? I don't want to be rude. I have a bad habit of hanging up on people when I shouldn't.
No, you're not being rude.
Okay.
No, I just want to let y'all know I appreciate you guys for everything you do, and thanks a lot.
No problem. Yes, he is the best coach that Tennessee Titans have had this year, But head coach, I think we kind of need to move into a direction where we have someone proven. The only time he was able to prove it was the interim head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, where he went 0-3 after he replaced Jeff Fisher.
And I don't know a lot about his whole background, and I think his the improvement of the special teams and things in there has been evident. I think, but I think for all intents and purposes, they leaned on somebody with experience in that seat that has won, and for a temporary sake. I don't know if they have intentions on making Mike the full-time guy, if he's going to get a legitimate interview or not. We don't know that, but I think that was, in essence, what it was. Like, don't rock the boat. You got some things going well, don't necessarily need to rock the whole boat.
Yeah, if anything, it would be that Bones would have been interim head coach, let him audition, which may have been the better move. I don't know. I know people think that Denard Wilson would have been the better move. I think they went with Mike McCoy. I think that was the most logical move to make.
I think so.
It has not worked out right for anybody, but, it is what it is.
Well, there was a lot to right in the ship, too. And I thought specifically with Mike, he wasn't necessarily over anything specific. He was kind of here as a consultant role, offensive mind. So it lends itself to give him the responsibility to oversee the whole thing as opposed to game plan and play calling. Now, when you're head coach, you're part of all of it, special teams, defense, offense. He's definitely part of all the conversations. But I think considering what his role had been when Callahan was here, this made the most sense, the least stressful on the rest of the coaches to have to take on more responsibility as the head coach. It is. Now he's doing all the pressers. He's doing the coaches show. He's doing all the things that come with being the CEO of the coaching staff of the franchise. And if you have a coach that has things rocking well, you kind of taking that away a little bit.
Yep. Let's go to Kenny in Horse Cave, Kentucky. Kenny, you're on with Cover 2.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
I just want to say a couple of things. One, it's a sad day when the New York Jets have figured out how to do the rebuild before us. I realize they got more trade assets, but at least they're trying to use those trade assets, and we're sitting on one that's not going to be a factor for us when we actually have a chance to contend. Love Jeff, but let the guy go to a team where he can contend, because on this team, it's not going to happen. Then on the head coach thing, and then I'll hang up and listen. Zach, you spoke here a little while back about the research they were doing and how far back they were going and all this stuff. That scares me, I'm not going to lie, because it scares me into thinking that they're going to use this research to somehow justify keeping Mike McCoy, which would be a disaster.
There you go. What scares me, so the research he's referencing, so Mike Silver reported on it that when he was here, he did I don't know if you saw it, but a huge article talking, he was here for like a whole week behind the scenes and everything, did a whole article in the Tennessee Titans on Cam Ward and everything. And he found out that they're doing research that they're not going to go for the hot young candidate. In fact, I got the quote right here written down.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That his people are indicating to him, the people like the front office are indicating, I don't want the hot young play caller. They want someone that's done it before or has an extensive leadership resume. And then Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports heard directly from them that the archetype that they have found to be the most successful historically has been the coach that has done it before and or has 5 years of play calling experience. Offensive, defensive, doesn't matter, just 5 years. So I question the validity of that, because off the top of my head, that didn't really pass the smell test for me. And so I went back, all the way back, I believe, to 2010. So anybody that was hired for their direct second job as a head coach in the span of 2010 and 2025. And I was like, it doesn't really make sense, because there have only been 22.7% of the players or the head coaches that were hired for their first job had 5+ years of head coaching experience. So only 22%.
Yeah.
That includes like Andy Reid, right? Like when Andy Reid was first hired, He was an offensive line coach and went straight into it. Never had play calling experience. The people that were their first time as head coach that had a 500 win record that was also hired a second time was 54.5%. 8 of those for 66.7 ended up having a winning record their second year. So that was good. Okay. That's good. Not going to lie there. So we're talking about there's 22 head coaches. 12 of those head coaches were winners their first year. That means that there were 10 that were losers their first year and rehired. And guess what? They were losers again their second go around. So you got to be careful. Like Robert Saleh, recent history tells you Robert Saleh coming over to take a head coaching job with a team that's a bad record will likely stay bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like Todd Bowles, for example, right?
Yeah.
Todd Bowles, losing record, had a winning record with the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers were just coming off Super Bowl wins with Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
Not to say that Todd Bowles is not a good head coach,
right?
Because he obviously has had sustained success.
Yeah, there were some pieces in place,
but he had a pretty easy road for his second trip, plus the knowledge that he was armed with from his first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, Nick Sirianni, if you did what they were doing, what they said they're doing, they're going. You have to have at least one of these things: 5 years of play calling experience. Mm-hmm. Or have done it before. They would have never hired Nick Sirianni. They never would have hired John Harbaugh. They never would have hired Matt LaFleur. They would have hired Sean McDermott, but only because he had 5+ years of play calling experience. He wasn't a second-time head coach. They wouldn't have hired Kevin O'Connell. Wouldn't have hired Mike Tomlin. They wouldn't have hired Mike McDonald. Like all these big names. McVay. Right. McVay only had a couple of years of play calling experience. Like Shane Steichen with the Colts. You wouldn't have hired Ben Johnson. So my concern is that they're going all the way back to like the 60s with this data. And that may be true. I'm not going all the way back through the 60s to double check that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm having to do this by hand with Google Sheets. I don't have the access to the data processing power that they have. But if you limit yourself like that they are doing, you may miss out on the next Kevin O'Connell. Because like Zach Robinson. Kevin O'Connell did call plays with the Commanders back in the day.
Yeah.
But you may miss out on Zach Robinson, who is former player, leader of men kind of guy, maybe. I don't know him that well. But he's done really well with Atlanta. You may limit yourself, and that's my concern.
Dan Campbell.
You might miss a Dan Campbell.
You know, a couple things when you say that, man.
And D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah. When you say that is, one, data doesn't always tell the whole story.
That's true.
And the other part of that is feel and intuition and instinct. I think sometimes, and I've been here, as you hire, you get enamored with the interviewer, and they say all the right things, and then it doesn't work out for whatever reason or another. And I don't know, I'm bringing Callahan's name in, and I'm assuming, although he had a reputation and he was supposedly in that next candidate pool of names, I'm assuming he interviewed very well.
Yeah,
because they brought in some people. If I remember correctly, there was some good candidates, right? So I think what they're saying is we got to start somewhere. Similar if you're hiring a program manager, here's qualifications, here's what we're looking for. But I still think you don't want to limit yourself. If there is a young gun or young talent that's supposed to be the next up, I think you owe it to yourself to at least have that conversation.
And look, I'm fine I'm fine with the parameters they have chosen in a sense of, this team probably needs someone that's done it before, but has had success doing it.
Right.
Like, we can't be too broad and just let it be, well, he's done it before, so there you go.
You're right.
Like, let's have some success with it. But my other concern is like, when you have that, you start forming biases in your head before you even meet people. And so when you come into a meeting, that person's going to have to work so much harder to overcome those biases you have built, those obstacles you have put in their way. Yeah. So that's my concern with that. Let's go to the phones real quick. Let's go to Billy. Billy, you're on with Cover 2.
Hey, what's up, guys? So I've got basically like a comment. I think it was the Titans' plan all along to give Coach possibly like a trial half the year, and then if he didn't do well, they let him go, and then give McCoy the opportunity. But my question is why does Burke Nihill never get really mentioned in part of the problem? He's been here for, 5 years, president, CEO. Ever since he's been here, the Titans have progressively gotten worse. I think between him and Brinker, somebody's giving Amy bad advice. And I think them two guys are the problem, my personal opinion, looking outside, because we can't get any information from the higher ownership. So it's just my 2 cents. Appreciate it.
Billy, for me, we've mentioned Nihill in the sense of if he's not on the football side anymore, now it's been separated. Stay on the business side is kind of where I'm at. Like, I have yet to see if he does that or not, but that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I have to see how involved is he in this particular hiring? Mm-hmm. Because if he's involved, I'd rather it really just be Mike Bergonzi's show, and to a lesser extent Chad Brinker and Dave Ziegler and Reggie McKenzie. Let it be those guys with the 9 Super Bowl rings, is what they say. Then I would Amy and Burke and Kenneth and anybody else. Like, those guys could be in the room and everything, but like, let's leave the football stuff to the football people.
I get that, but I'm also on the other side, and I'm writing the checks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a say.
That's true.
I mean, I'm call it what it is. I'm writing these checks. My name's on this. I'm gonna have a say. Now, that don't mean you are making a decision without collaborating and having these conversations. And to your point of business versus the football, operational versus football. I think you hire people to do certain things in an organization. I think you need to listen. I think you need to have that collaboration conversation, but you also got to start trusting those people that you are put in a position to make those decisions. And if that doesn't work out, then it makes it easy for you to make that move. And I don't know if that's been totally the case, but I also, and again, I'll give the example of which version of this do you want? Do you want the Jerry Jones version, where he's making all the decisions seemingly from what our vantage point is? Or do you want somebody that's distant, just tell me what's going on, I'll write the checks?
To be fair to Amy, and someone brings this up, Casey Jones brings this up in the chat, and I'm going to add an extra layer to what he just said. Amy was involved in keeping Mike Mularkey. Amy was involved in hiring Mike Vrabel, and Amy was involved in hiring Brian Callahan. She's 2 for 3. She's 2-1 in head coaching hirings. Now, how involved was she? I know she got the final say, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But we got to make sure. I understand everybody's got to have someone to put on their dartboard to throw the darts at, but we got to make sure that we do keep it level-headed when it comes to the hiring of coaches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right, coming up next, speaking of coaches, we'll go to Coach Mack for our weekly Mack Attack, brought to you by Tourers Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. It's 2:20 p.m. on a Tuesday. That means that's time for our weekly Mac Attack with Coach Mac, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. And Coach, I have to say, maybe I'm going to sound crazy, but it kind of felt like this was the most competitive we've seen the Tennessee Titans in this game against the Chargers. Wasn't obviously good enough, and self-inflicted mistakes hurt him, but it felt like this team was the most competitive. Am I crazy?
Well, I think the fact that they were still in it, through the entire second half. I mean, that's been the problem with several of the games this year is that they've had a pretty strong first half in several of them, but then towards the third and the fourth quarter, I mean, for whatever different reasons in different games, but they couldn't sustain it. They sustained it to a point, but again, it was very uneven in this last ball game because I mean, you got 2 touchdowns that were non-offensive touchdowns, which they all count the same. But, I mean, it was, you get a great defensive interception for a touchdown. That was a hell of a play, by Barton. And then, you get the punt returns have really been right on the threshold of breaking several of this year because Bones Fossil is doing a tremendous job setting this up. Those special teams players have bought into the entire package of what he's presenting every week. And then Chimere Dike is a very, very talented athlete and not only a returner. He's kind of earned his stripes early as a returner. But all that to say is you had 14 points there. The issue is that you really couldn't just sustain anything touchdown-wise or produce any touchdowns offensively to be able to put yourself over the top.
I mean, typically you see these penalties and self-inflicted mistakes plague a team throughout the whole game, but they had 7 penalties in the first half, and by my count, 0 penalties in the second half. And it's just kind of a wild game to, even with the 7 penalties in the first half, still be in it by the time the second half starts.
Yeah, well, and penalties to me, I mean, all the years I've done this, there's 2 types of penalties really to me, Zach. There's competition penalties, where look, you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat in one-on-one matchups because that's just life in the National Football League. But it's the unforced errors that really hurt you, and that that set you back. The false starts, the jumping off sides, the illegal being downfield, those types of things that take away yardage, and then not only take away yardage, but add to the number of yards that you have to gain in a series to be able to possess the football. Those types of things are the ones that kill you.
So when it comes down to this, I mean, obviously first half, little rough, but better. And typically the last 2 weeks has been the first half looks good and the second half doesn't look as great. How can you try and at least get some semblance of balance? It's obviously a very young team. You're going to have ups and downs throughout the game, but some semblance of balance now going into the bye week.
Well, I mean, you got to look. Each game takes on in itself. It takes on a complexion within itself. But the thing you have to do, you have to be consistent, and consistently being able to progress the chains offensively is extremely important. And then defensively, I mean, you can't be really strong against some component early on, and then all of a sudden start having a real problem with it. Say you did a really good job of holding down the run game in the first half, and then all of a sudden it seems like you're missing too many tackles, you're out of gaps. Just consistency overall. Now, consistency overall is some of the things that you have to fight against, especially when you're a young football team, because young players are going to make mistakes that veteran players don't make because they just haven't seen it enough. But you've got to stay consistent, and it's not one size fits all. But when you're uneven and the chain keeps slipping off the sprockets at different spots, it's hard to keep any kind of consistency going.
Hey, Coach, when you get into a season how you doing, brother?
I'm good.
When you get into a season like this, from a coach perspective, what is the focus going into the bye week? What are you looking to as you're talking about young players developing? What are some of the aspects of the game you're hoping to evaluate over the bye week?
Well, I mean, you do evaluations. I mean, you've coached, you know what it is. You do evaluations every week, but in the bye week, I mean, especially with a young team, you look at where your young players have progressed. You look at what their strengths are now, and what their strengths are now may not be as to what their strengths were early in the season, but everybody gets a little bit better with time on task. You look at, and again, you've had a coaching change. So you see how everybody is fitting together and piecing together, but you try to find what fits the players that you have best, depending on the opponent that's coming up, and that's what you concentrate on, because you can't concentrate and look at way ahead and say, okay, hopefully we can be this in 6 weeks. You're looking at it, a day at a time, and at least during a bye week. Dr. Dyson, what it gives you is it gives you a chance to lay it all out without having to prepare a game plan, which is very, very time centric and takes up a lot of time. So you get a chance to sit back and look at the overall picture. Even though you do self evaluation after every ball game, this gives you a little bit of a chance to look at the holistic view of it and say, hey, here's the things that these guys can do well. Let's see how this can fit into who we're getting ready to play next. But let's eliminate some of the things that are giving them consistent problems and see if we can't fix those.
Coach, one more question as about 30 minutes before the trade deadline comes and goes. As a coach, and I give you perspective from a player after I ask you the question, from a coach perspective, when a franchise seemingly is making a reset at the midpoint of the season as they're thinking about bringing in more draft capital, things like that. What is the mindset of a coach as you're thinking about, as we're talking about game planning, evaluating the players that are here in the locker room? What is your mindset as you're thinking about what, quote unquote, the management is doing?
You stay in the present. You can, as a coach, you control what you can't control, and that's why there's divisions of power, and everybody has their own spot. But as a coach, you got to concentrate on the immediate as far as to what's happening. Now, nothing happens. There's no surprises. All of these things that happen. Now they moved the trade deadline back a little bit, but all the years that I was involved in it, and I was deeply involved in all of this stuff. From a coordinator on through as a head coach. You're very well aware of what's going on, and everything is very calculated. But that doesn't change your focus as a coach, because as a coach, you're concentrating on the present, because what you are involved in and what you're charged with is every week after 5 days put together a game plan that puts you in a position to help you win a ball game. That's why you've got the divisions of power with the talent acquisition people and then with the people that coach you.
Yeah, and that's I was gonna give you the same perspective from the player, and you've done both. Is only thing I can control in this is me, and being the best version of myself on every given day, and because you don't know where I'm gonna be from year to year. I might be on the trade deadline, so only thing I can control on a daily basis is what I do, and then whoever's in the locker room with me, next to me, right, left, I just go to battle with them.
That's 100% correct, because that's professional sports. That's the professional part of being in professional sports, and as you well know, it's different, and it's a different mindset, and that's where I say, young players learn about it pretty quickly. Now, I think they're more mature coming in now, especially with what's going on in collegiate football with the NIL and the transfer portal and the business side of football, which this is.
Right.
I mean, but that to me is a great point, and the quicker that you can figure that out, the better off you're going to be.
When it comes to this team, Coach, it feels like when things are tight in a game or close in a game, or when things are starting to go awry, they have nothing to fall back on, like an identity. How do you establish an identity as a coach with the players that you got, even amidst a losing season, even when there's turmoil as an interim head coach, to give them something that says, hey, things are tight right now, or we just, maybe had a mental error or a mistake happen but we're going to stay true to who we are and go out there and blank. It just doesn't feel like they have that right now.
Well, that comes with making plays. And look, all games are made up of moments in time. And when you make plays in moments in time, then that propels you towards the next one. And every week you're put into those situations. And the more that you can consistently make the play in a moment in time when you need to make it, those things start to flip. But it has to be done in the present. You can talk about it all you want, but you have to do it. And in those times, in those 3 hours and 5 minutes that you have, in those breakdowns of those important times in games that we can all look back on and say the ifs and buts and the candy and nuts in this situation, you've got to be able to make those plays. Making those plays propels you at least towards the confidence that you can make them again. But you have to start making them first before you can have the confidence to do that. But as a coach, you've got to stay. You just said a phrase, stay true to who you are. You've got to do that. You've got to be honest, and you've got to be consistent with your players, and then let them perform.
And obviously, every player is different. Every bye-week plan for that every player is going to be different. But it sounds like Cam Ward's not going to really take much of a break, and I don't expect him to with the way that he has kind of shown his work ethic. But do you kind of encourage him to kind of take a little mental reset? Because I do feel like you don't want him to be so focused on football. Like, it's unhealthy for me as much as I think about certain things about football. It drives my wife wild and makes her so mad that I think about football all the time. Do you think that you need to kind of encourage him to kind of find time to take that break?
He'll learn that as he's been in the league. I mean, we all of us that have worked in this profession at a high level for a long time, believe me, you learn how to manage it. You learn how to manage it. And so you don't ever change internally who you are, but you learn how to manage the situation. And he'll learn that.
All right. Well, the bye week is coming up. Obviously, you get to take a break, so hopefully you get to have your own mental reset here coming up.
Yeah, well, I'll be fine. Look, I've spent 40 years. I've figured out how to mentally reset myself a long time ago.
There you go. I'm still learning. We appreciate the time,
I appreciate
Coach.
you, Coach.
See you guys. Appreciate both of you.
No problem. All right, let's go to Nick before we take a break. Nick, you're on with Cover 2.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I really enjoy that Mag Attack every week. But just a quick question, a quick remark about the coaching. What about bringing in a guy? Interested to hear your thoughts of bringing in a guy like Mike McCarthy, somebody that wants, he knows what the highs of the highs are like. He knows what navigating the crazy Dallas Cowboys system is, and he's proven to work with young quarterbacks and build them up. He won a Super Bowl with a young quarterback, so just interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I got to get Nick to listen to us on Sunday.
I know. I mean, listen, we've talked about it a lot with Blaine and everything, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all good with Mike McCarthy. I think that the betting odds should heavily favor Mike McCarthy and Matt Nagy.
He was the first one at the clubhouse for me.
And I'm with you. And, I get it. Matt Nagy doesn't have a good reputation, or people think of Chicago Bears and don't realize that it wasn't really as bad as what people think. But Mike McCarthy obviously had 3 12-5 seasons sandwiched between 2 losing seasons in Dallas where the quarterback got hurt and injured, and he was going with different quarterbacks. Mike McCarthy has done it with Green Bay. I am all for Mike McCarthy and willing to give him a chance. I do have a concern, though, after just seeing this go through with Brian Callahan and Bill Callahan, in a sense, the way that they have done it, and the way that he has shown proven success, how adaptable is he going to be with Cam Ward? Because Cam Ward is kind of a different quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, is a different quarterback than Dak Prescott. How adaptable are you going to be with Cam Ward?
Yeah. So if you talk about some of the most winningest coaches of the last 20 years, McCarthy and Tomlin, and Tomlin has yet to have a losing season. McCarthy hasn't lost very often. And you just mentioned some of the reasons why he did. It's not the reason why he lost, but
some context.
Context of why some of those losing seasons happened. He's a guy who has a proven track record in the National Football League as a play caller and as a winning coach. I think he was in a franchise expectation to Super Bowl or bust, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in over 30 years. And he still was consistent. And I think in that fan base is people are still living off of that 90s run and assume that's the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I get it, because we talked about it on Sundays. You talk about the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions were in that valley for the longest time. They're just now out of that ditch for the last few years because they got Dan Campbell and they got the right kind of nucleus between ownership, management, and head coach and players, and it's working for them right now. Green Bay Packers were down for a long time. And, so you look at some of the things he's able to do, I think it's very interesting for him to come here. But now, I think you made this point before, is his personality the type you want for your number one draft pick?
Yeah.
That's going to be the telltale sign. But I think he'll be in that conversation for sure.
For sure, no doubt. All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up our trade deadline day, see if any trades happen. If not, we'll just kind of talk about, maybe this Tennessee Titans team and what not trading these players really says. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Parents, when your teen athletes get injured, every practice miss matters. So don't let an injury sideline you for the season or your dreams. Introducing the Edge Athlete Recovery Program, a 2-month, twice daily sublingual peptide protocol designed to help your athlete heal faster, recover stronger, and get back on the field safely. Our science-backed peptides, BPC 157 and TB 500, support muscle, tendon, and ligament repair with no needles, no downtime, and no hassle. Safe for teens, non-GMO, gluten-free, and easy to take home. Optional add-ons include M-Scope, functional sessions, and regenerative orthopedic treatments to accelerate recovery even more. So don't wait. Give your athlete the best shot at a full return to sports. All you have to do is just call Edge Peptide Therapy at 615-724-1878, or you can visit them at edgepeptide.com to schedule an office consultation today. Edge Peptide Therapy knows every game, every practice, and every dream matters.
Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is number. It's last call for phone calls. Kevin Dyson filling in. Great show today.
Man.
A lot of good talk today.
We got about 10 minutes left. Can we get something else?
We got
Just one thing.
13 minutes left to the deadline. A little bit under 10 minutes left for the show. I don't think we're going to get... We got the Quinnen Williams breaking news, so you did predict that we would get some kind of breaking news. So we got that.
Wanted something team related.
Well, I don't think we're going to get anything. And I'm not too terribly surprised. I mean, I thought what they got for Draymond Jones is pretty good. There have been some talks out there, so just to wrap up some rumors out there, Kansas City is willing to do a 4th-round pick for a wide receiver where it could be conditional to turn into a 3rd. Calvin Ridley, maybe. We've seen some teams interested in a pass rusher. Breece Hall, 3rd-round pick, is what they're asking for him. Tony Pollard is kind of still floating out there, not saying that he's going to get a 3rd-round pick. But let's go to this report just real quick by Mike Girardi, who covers the New England Patriots, longtime reporter. He's a guest on the Buck Rising show. But he says, I was just told there has been some conversation league-wide that Tennessee might be unwilling to make deals with New England because the owner, Amy Adams-Strunk, continues to think too much about how things ended with Vrabel and is not inclined to help his new team. We'll find out soon enough with the likes of Arden Key, Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley being available. And I would say this. I don't think this is as big of a deal as everybody else makes it out to be. I feel like this is just an owner being an owner and not wanting to help out for one reason or another, another team. We see it all the time. Like, why is this? I feel like, not saying sexism is played into this, but I feel like this is being blown out a little bit out of proportion for one reason or another.
Well, business and leaders can be petty.
Yep.
And there is a level of, I don't want you to be successful before I am, so to speak. I just don't know if Amy's cut like that. But again, business is business, bro.
I would ask for, listen, any team calling asks for me, you start out a little high. If they don't want to counter, they don't want to counter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, okay, let's go back to the Rams try to trade up where the Titans were picking with Tavondre Sweat. They tried to trade up to that pick, and they tried with several teams. The Titans weren't the only team to turn them down. They tried to trade up to number 38, and they were told no. They said they were offering one pick, and we're doing this and a pick this year. And they said no. Well, they called the Panthers. The Panthers said no. Then the Panthers called them back and countered. And then they accepted. Sometimes that's how deals work. Sometimes it doesn't.
That's it.
And I don't think there's anything petty between Rand Carthon and the Rams. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's just how sometimes business works.
That's how it works. But to do that just because of Vrabel, that's not necessarily a good look. It's bad business all around. But I think if the right move is presented, the right kind of deal, I'd like to believe she's going to make, whomever decides that, she's ultimately the final decision maker, but whomever is going through that, Berganzi, whoever, I'm assuming they're going to go with the best deal for the franchise.
I mean, like, if they're offering a 6 for Tony Pollard, that's not good enough for me to want to trade Tony Pollard. Now, is that because of Mike Vrabel? Or is that because the Patriots are lowballing an offer? Like, we will never truly know.
Yeah.
Now, if they're asking for a second for Mike Vrabel or a second for Tony Pollard from Mike Vrabel, but willing to take a 6 for Tony Pollard from someone else, then yes, obviously there's petty involved.
That's petty,
But we really don't know what's going on because this is all just gossip. Like, this is ultimately what we're discussing right now is gossip that he has heard from multiple sources, whoever they may be. They may be all Patriots people.
Yeah.
There may be conversations between the Patriots and the Rams or something like that. We don't know.
Yeah.
But this is all just kind of like water cooler gossip at this point.
I mean, who would he want from this roster besides Big Jeff? Because if it is Big
maybe
Jeff.
There was a rumor earlier about Monty Hooker, but he just signed an extension, but that doesn't really change. You can't, so did Sauce Gardner,
I can see him wanting Big Jeff. And that's expensive to me.
Yeah.
You can't just come, like you said, a 6th-rounder for Big Jeff. You have to pay a pretty penny.
Right.
So, again, we never know the context of all this, but I'm trying to think, because he already has how many former Titans over there as is?
Yeah. I mean, Jack Gibbons is over there even. I mean, like a lot of.
So we know he's got guys he wants familiarity with that can play, and the ones I could think of on this roster that he would want that can help them to the next level as they're trying to win not only their division, but go deep into the playoffs, Big Jeff would be the one. And I can't imagine they offered enough to get him.
And PK is reporting no further deals for the Titans. They are finished. So they are done. And I guess my other thing is if I'm Mike Vrabel, why am I giving up any draft pick for a running back? You have Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
Just use Travion Henderson.
Right.
I mean, I know he's a rookie, and that's the anti-Vrabel way that you have to earn your spot, but like sometimes injuries cause the player to earn it, or maybe sometimes they're just good. Like Travion Henderson is pretty good. Time to start using him.
Yeah.
Why do you want Tony Pollard there?
I guess what'll be sort of interesting, and we won't hear it from the organization, but it'd probably be from reporters digging, is if the Titans were really serious at any point about moving Jeff or moving Ridley or Tony or whoever it may be. Like if they were really working the lines on this deadline.
I mean, sometimes this stuff gets just tied into like, okay, player or team A called team B. So that must mean that Tony Pollard's on the trade block.
Yeah.
No, that just means someone called them and they fielded the call.
Yeah.
You know, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was on the trade block because the Titans were out there calling everybody. And when you're a losing team, kind of everybody's kind of understood.
Yeah.
You're
absolutely.
on the trade block, but also you don't have to trade. What good is a 6th-round pick at this point? Like, for me, I would rather have Tony Pollard than a 6th-round pick. I know that there are other people that may disagree with that because Tony Pollard's, what's he good for? But I would rather have a proven running back that has proven to be available, durable, and still is running hard on a crappy team than a 6th-round pick.
Yeah. What about Bryce Hall?
I mean, I would love to have Breece Hall.
Oh, Breece. That's it, Bryce.
Yeah,
Breece.
but I'd love to have him.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the Jets, I don't know if they'll get a deal done or anything, but they have no interest in trading Garrett Wilson. Those reports came out. So,
Schultz tweeted that Breece said he wants out.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So
to me, it's like, okay, they traded Draymond Jones. They traded Jarvis Brownlee Jr. They traded Roger McCree. They did 3 trades. I mean, I know everybody was expecting a fire sale, but no one in media reported fire sale was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was something that these fans brought up. They still have to have good players. They still have to be able to field a team.
We said it earlier. You got to have something to build around and towards, which is kind of surprising what the Jets have done on their defense side of the ball, nonetheless, with a defensive-minded head coach.
And Tony Pollard is still under contract next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can always cut him, but he's still under contract next year.
You know what was interesting? What Coach Mack said is there's no surprises. The coaches know.
Yeah.
And he probably would never say this or throw anybody under the bus or anything to that effect. But I can't imagine as a coach, you going into that meeting and the GM, president, owner say, hey, we're trading your 2 of your best defensive players for draft picks. Deal with it. I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure that wasn't the context, but that's essentially what it said. Hey, and okay, all right, let me go coach the guys in front of me.
And listen, someone said we could field a team without Pollard and Ridley. Just saying, sure, but your team's better with them on it.
There you go. They're
still under contract next year, and that's probably part of the issue why you're not getting a lot of big offers because they're both still under contract.
Yeah.
All right, that will do it for us. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Thank you to Kevin Dyson for filling in.
I'll see you Friday, bro.
Yeah, there you go. All right, that will do it for us. And in the meantime,
and in between time,
peace.
I could have done
That's
that.
all right.